Good morning, Real Mom Wellness friends. I loved our conversation online last night as we were talking about exercise and intermittent fasting, and was like really excited by some of your questions about it because I do get a little geeky when I think about it. And so some of you clued into that's what I was talking about, was intermittent fasting. And so let me tell you what I know about it, or what my experience has been with it. And also let me start and say, as I've named to you, I'm not a coach, I'm not a trainer, I'm not a nutritionist. I enjoy all of this stuff, but it's just like hobby and like personal wellness stuff for me. It's not like I have any true expertise in these matters. Other than lived experiences, which is expertise, right? So let me start by saying that I've been through a gamut of different eating programs and I'll say diets over the past decade, often in an attempt to lose weight, but also in an attempt to regulate my metabolism, as I know that my metabolism is defunct. I've tried high protein, low carb diets, like the hardcore kind. That actually was recommended to me by a physician a few years ago. Totally unmanageable, unsustainable, like meaning 50 grams of carbs or less a day for every day for the rest of your life. That doesn't feel sustainable at all. And what I found over the years in doing high protein, low carb diets is that after a few weeks, usually it's about the 4 to 6 week window, I start having serious GI distress. Now, a lot of times people on a high protein, low carb diet will have problems with like being constipated and all of that. That was never really my issue, but I have tons of GI problems my whole life, and they seem to not respond well. Acid indigestion, just like stomach aches, belly aches, pain all the time. So a high protein diet does not seem to do well for me in that regard. So I've tried all these different things, and I've also dealt with a lot of issues with like symptomatic low blood sugar over the years, like to the point where all of a sudden, like I eat something pretty balanced, but then boom, I'm shaking, sweating, need to eat like 1,000 calories and sleep for 2 hours, like that kind of stuff. And so I've always kind of been on this journey to not only regulate my weight, but really to just regulate my metabolism and how I feel overall. High protein, low carb does not feel sustainable for me for the reasons I mentioned. I also have done Whole30, which I really like the principles of Whole30, because the more I read and know about gluten and dairy and all these things, they're definitely inflammatory things in our body. And knowing that I have a family history of autoimmune issues and I'm sure I'm at the brink of them, then it's just better to avoid those things, generally speaking. And at the same time, Whole30 also did give me quite a bit of GI distress after a period of a few weeks. Very high protein, no grains whatsoever. And so that didn't sit well with me over the long term. So then in January or February, my employer offered us a program to join with a dietitian, registered dietitian. Her name is Amanda Nybert. You can look her up. She runs programs called LEAN, L-E-A-N, Living Energized and Nourished. And when I first heard about it, they're like, it's intermittent fasting and carb cycling. And I was like, well, I'm hungry all the time. Like, fasting is not going to work for me. I've done some fasts in the past, like bone broth fasts and different things like that, trying to like heal some of my gut stuff. And I'm a hungry girl. Like I eat like a lot. So I was really worried about it. Here's what I've learned. If you do it right, here's what I've learned. Let me take a step back. It is not always easy, right? So when people are like, it's cool, I just don't eat all day and I just blah, 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 whatever. Well, they're making it sound like it's all roses. It's not always easy. Here's what it is. It's a mental thing in a lot of ways that I have realized with the right physical support to do, right? If I have the right level of protein in my diet, hydration, electrolytes, and a meal plan in place, so now we're getting out of mental and into the planning part, then I can do it. I started it in around February, did 2 cycles with her. They're 7 weeks each. I'm still doing it, though it's harder to do it when you're not on a plan and like somebody's like asking you to track it every day. But basically she says define your eating window, try to fast for at least 16 hours. No matter when your eating window is, try to fast for at least 16 hours. Some days that's super easy. Some days I go 20 without even knowing it because work or whatever. Some days I'm like, it's like 12 hours and I'm like, my big guts are eating my little guts, like, or I'm gonna eat my shoe. Like I gotta do something. So it just depends, but there are some keys to it. And I can post more about that later because this video is already 6 minutes long. If you're interested in it, comment on this because I'd be glad to say more about it and some of the ways, like the specifics, but it's definitely like, I'm not an expert on it. All I know is what she told me, which is just define your eating window, try to fast at least 16 hours and manage your protein, water, and electrolytes. And so some of the symptoms like I saw Becky post about, feeling like really weak, hangry, like shaky, gross. Yeah, like that should not be happening. And I can tell you on most days, I do not feel that way. And I'm hungry all the time, like normally. So hope this helps. It's long-winded. I don't know if I answered your questions, but stay well. Have a great Thursday. It's Thursday already. And do something for you today. Have to remind myself of that. Do something for you. Okay, see you soon.